Hey everybody, this is Mr. Matthew for AP Biology video on Essential Knowledge Statement 4B4. And in this case, what we're going to talk a little bit about is the distribution of local and global ecosystem changes over time. So it's going to be a pretty quick video. I'm just going to hit upon a couple of quick notes. And so we're going to start with talking about the concept of plate tectonics. So just be aware that plate tectonics is the theory of explaining the structure of the Earth's crust and the many associated phenomena as resulting from the interactions of the rigid lithospheric plates, meaning the plates on top, that move slowly over the underlying mantle. And so what we see here is a picture of the globe down here and the current distribution of the various plates. And so when we look at the many associated phenomena, we're talking about things like earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis as a result of these particular movements of these plates. Now, when we look at long term, we can look at examples of how various situations leading up to present day, how the plates moved. And so if we go back to these older versions of what it was like during the Permian and when we had Pangea, and then during the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous, which are the age of the dinosaurs, what we end up seeing is we saw these plates move away from the giant landmass of Pangea and break in specific ways to create different types of land masses. As a result, you had different distances that occurred between these land masses, and so you had some different aquatic environments, giant sea areas, and then regions where you would have the seas starting to form, leading up to what we see in modern day, where the continents are spread as they currently exist. Now, a couple of the reasons why we look at this is that when we look at the distribution of fossils from before the age of the dinosaurs, it represented a giant landmass where everything was sort of connected. Again, we go back into the Permian and we can see that something that was in what is now modern day South America would share a landmass with modern day Africa. And so you may find fossils on either side of those continents that are from organisms that were around during those times. Lots of stuff can be based off this plate tectonics. Now, if we look forward and we look at mass extinctions, we know that a mass extinction is the widespread, rapid decrease in biodiversity on Earth. Such events identified by sharp changes in biodiversity and the abundance of multicellular organisms. And so they are generally viewed as 5 big mass extinctions identified here by these yellow points that we see on the diagram. There are some other extinction events that occurred. Now, I want to point out that this diagram always drives me crazy because we have well-resolved genre and all genre of types of organisms that we see, meaning the various types of organisms. And the reason this sort of always drives me crazy is because we only have fossils of certain types of organisms. So if you look at this diagram, it makes it look like, whoa, we have all of these way more organisms that exist today than existed in the past. And the fact is, we just really don't know how true that is. It's very, very skewed towards large, well-preserved things. Now, the nice thing about this is it does give us information about when there were massive drops of biodiversity, such as here at this KT event around 65 million years ago, which is sort of the end of the age of the dinosaurs. We also have these other events which represent really stark geological periods. The thing that bothers me about is that, do we have great evidence of all of the variability or all of the biodiversity that existed during these various times? And the answer is no. We have these Lagerstättens, or collections of fossils that occur in these different times, that tell us what the general trend was that was going on during those times, but they're really just small snapshots. Whereas today we have lots of people who are out collecting organisms and documenting those organisms, and we get to see really high numbers of species that we can document today, which gives us this impression that, wow, we've got this massive biodiversity unlike we've ever known on the planet. That's a little bit disruptive. You should also know that if we were to bring this down into a much smaller picture into modern day, there are people out there who are talking about whether or not we are currently seeing a decline in species today, and whether or not we're beginning through human causes undergoing a mass extinction today. So when we talk about mass extinctions, sometimes you will hear that there is a sixth extinction and we're experiencing it now. And so that's if we were to zoom out on this little area and look at the trend in biodiversity, and we might actually see a small decline in this trend line. So this particular graph, it may be a little deceptive, and you may want to get some more information. But these are a couple of the trends that hopefully you're aware of in terms of long-term shifts that we see in both how organisms got distributed and also mass extinction events that would have led to adaptive radiations that followed them. All right, I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to everybody soon.